So essentially how I'm starting out is I took tons of, you can't see that, tons of measurements on my actor to figure out what I needed, if I needed it. And then I cut out these two pieces. So this is the full circumference of his leg plus an inch, because when you fold this over, it'll lose a couple inches. And then this here, this plus this equals the circumference of his ankle. This is the calf piece, and then these are thigh pieces, which I already completed. I just hot glued the sides. This needs to be fixed. Hot glued the sides and then stuffed them with some batting, and then I left the ends open and my so in case you've never worked with hot glue before, you want either a high temp or a low temp, doesn't matter. Mine's a high temp, but you'll want, if you've never used hot glue gun before, probably use a low temp. It'll dry quicker and it won't burn you as much if it gets on your skin. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take your hot glue, you're going to put it on the seam, and then you're going to put the two seams together and press them together. And then you're going to hold them there, and you're not going to move it until it's completely dry. Because if you move it when it's not completely dry, this happens. Seams start splitting, and that's no good. So what I've done now is I've connected the two pieces with a rectangle piece. My actor's knee is, I had him bend his knee, and then I measured it from the top of the knee to the bottom of the knee. And it's about 5.5 inches, so I docked off a couple inches, so this is 3 inches or so. And I just put this in with a little bit of just shoop right underneath. You can see that there. And then my plan is, I also, with the calf, I made it oh gosh, slim and this part wide, like a normal calf. This part's weird. Ignore that, it's fine. You won't see it through the pants, so it'll be fine. So something that I noticed as I was working on putting the legs into the pants, the foam is pretty tacky and likes to stick to the material of the pants. So I'm using just a 4-way stretch neo nylon spandex from Joann. This is called 4-way athletic performance. I think this color is called Hawaii. I just got it at Joann's. I got a yard of it. And then what I'm doing is I'm outlining the leg and then sewing it together to make a little. So here I'm sewing the lycra. And if you've never sewn with this material before, it's super easy. It can be really slick, so one thing you have to be aware of is not to let your sewing machine pull it, like stretch it, and also you don't want to be like pulling from the back or stretching from the front, because then it will make the fabric wavy. And if you're just feeding it in normal with no tension whatsoever, and it starts to like ripple and wave in the back, your tension is too high, so you'll just have to lower it. And you can look in your sewing machine manual books, and usually it'll tell you if you're working with this kind of fabric, you'll want your tension to be this high or this low. So always refer to those if you're not too sure, or just look up online. That's always a good source. So this is what it looks like when you finish outlining it. How I outlined is that I just took it, I flattened this down, and then I did like a not even half an inch seam allowance. The direction in which you put this on doesn't matter because it's 4-way stretch. And then I put the pins on the inside or outside, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to sew right along this line just with a straight stitch. And yeah, normally when you use this material, you'll want to use a zigzag stitch because the zigzag will stretch better with the material. But because I'm just using this as a slipperiness and not necessarily as a wearable item that I need to worry about the stretch, I'm just going to do a straight stitch so it stays together. So alright, so I did this. This is going to be where his back and his butt is up here, which has that rectangular piece, this thing with the inch and the half inch, with the 4-inch and the, or 5-inch and the 4-inch, whatever. Anyway, so that'll go there. And what I did to sew them together is I put the legs in the pants, and then I measured out where I wanted this part to sit with the foam inside, and then I pinned it to the legs, and then I sewed it together, just one side on the back there. And I did it so you don't have to. It's really, this was like the most cumbersome thing I've ever sewn in my whole life, because I didn't pull the legs out. So just do yourself the favor, go the extra 10 seconds and take the legs out before you sew everything together. And make sure your pins are, like, have a lot of pins and make them really secure. Don't be like me and struggle for like 20 minutes because I refused to take the legs out. Now what I did from here is I got the leg in, but the knee is pointing this side. I don't think it'll actually matter in the long run. This is just what I did. I put the knee side on the sewn side, and then the back of the knee on the not sewn side. So then what I'm doing is I'm taking the empty sleeve and I'm just rolling it up like a pantyhose, and taking my leg, ta-da, and sticking it in with the knee side, I guess pointing me right now, and just slipping it on like a pantyhose and being really careful to make sure that things are pointing the right way and that everything is in place. And then yeah, ooh, and popping a seam like I just did. It's fine. Can be easily fixed with a hand stitch. And this sleeve is mostly just so the pants don't stick to the foam, because you can obviously, when you're working with this yourself, if you plan to go this direction, you'll see for yourself how sticky the foam can be on various fabrics. And you might also notice that I have things sticking out of here. I like to reuse my old little, not old, but foam scraps, and eventually I'm going to use these neoprene scraps, and I'm going to put them in there as well, just because I'm going to just throw them away otherwise, and might as well give the item a little bit more bulk, and it's not like anyone's going to see it anyway, so, and if they do, then whatever. But anyway, legs, ta-da! So that's how you dress your legs. Alright, so what I'm doing next is I went to the Goodwill and I got 2 pairs of pants. They didn't have to be perfectly the same, but what I did is I took the pants that I know fit our actor pretty perfectly, no modifications needed. Went to Goodwill and then compared pants. I got 2 of them, and then I put the legs in one pair of pants, and I measured out where I wanted to cut and combine the 2 pieces. And this is all, once again, a learning experience for me. And so this is, I wanted to test it on some fake pants before I cut up the actual pants, just because those pants are kind of expensive. So what I did is I put the front and the back pants together with the legs and the back pants, of course. And I'm making it so that the back of the front pants are now the front of the back pants. Does that make sense? So I'm just I'm cutting along the seams on both of the pants, and now this seam is gonna go with the front seam of the other pants. And I didn't film, and I'm so sorry, but I cut the front of my back pants with the legs, and then I just took this piece and I traced it onto the back of the front that the actor is going to be wearing. And I'll keep these to the side, because if these work, then I'll just use these on the other pants. And then I will be taking these and I will clip them together with some quilter's clips. These, they look like this. Highly recommend getting these if you don't have any, and sewing them together and seeing how it looks. So here we go. So here we are, we're all pinned up. I just pinned the two sides together just like this, and now it's time to go through the sewing machine. I would suggest not using denim for your pants unless you're using denim for your final pair, which would be kind of interesting in my opinion. But just take it slow on your sewing machine. My sewing machine is pretty heavy duty and can get through a lot of thick things, but a lot of other sewing machines can't. So just take it slow and listen to your sewing machine because you don't want it to break or nothing. All right. Here's these. I'm not nearly as tall as our actor, but we're getting there, and next step is to have him try it on, make adjustments where needed, and then you can see here, I don't even know if you can see it, it's so nice and attached. Once he tries it on, I'll convert it to the actual pants, and then I'm waiting for like a back brace. This like original blue stuff I'll attach to a brace that will attach to him so that he can just in case the legs fall down. And then in addition to that, I made it so that this is all open here. You can't even see it, I'm so sorry. It's all open so that way this is up against his body, that's why I use this. And so his butt will be in here, and it should have a nice flat transition and make it at least look semi-normal, as normal as weird squid legs can be. So we just finished SpongeBob the Musical, and I wanted to go through our like end thing for Squidward because we had a lot of breaks and things like that throughout the show. So we finally got it to a point towards the end of the show where it wasn't breaking, so I thought I'd go through that. The pants, which I've recorded earlier, were perfect. They were great. No change on the pants. I don't think I recorded this, but I attached a back brace to the legs via just, I used to do a semi-wide stitch, and then when it was in a place where I didn't have to adjust it at all, I did a full stitch, and I doubled it as well to make sure it didn't break. In here, once again, is the foam backing, and then I put some just some polyfill in there to give him a little bit of a butt because it was kind of flat. The legs have some fill in it, and they are just attached with some boning on the back of the foam and the leg itself. Same with the knees. The foam knee is still there, but there's boning here that I attached. This made it so that the knee would not bend the other direction. The boning I had was in a coil, which made it so that when I straightened it out. It still wanted to bend one direction, so that was perfect for the knees. And plus it gave him little kneecaps, so when it's straight, it would like poke out, and it made such cute little kneecaps. They were so good. And then the feet, which I'll get to in a second, I'm gonna like take off the blue and show you this. But the shoes were what were breaking the most. We started off with just like a basic hinge, and I loved how it moved. It worked great. But when it came to the tap number, they got completely demolished. So what we did is we took like a piece of metal and we strapped it across here, and then we did rivets, and that worked great for a couple nights. But then the tap number would make it so they would like pop off and break. So what we did finally, first off, the heels are riveted together. There's 2 rivets here, and this is like the smooth side. We dremeled it down so it wasn't hurting the actor. On this side, we made it we left it kind of pokey, so that way it could grip onto the false foot a little better. We also added these straps because during the tap number, his fake foot would come out of the shoe. It wouldn't like come out, but the heel would pop out and make it so it was harder to move. So we put little buckles in to make it so that they wouldn't slip out. What I would change on the buckles, well, we did it as a tie to begin with, but it was he had a couple quick changes from scenes, from one scene to the other, and it was just taking too long to tie it. So we just did little buckles that worked. I wish we would have finished them by burning the ends, but it worked out overall, honestly. And then we took an L bracket. You can see it better here. It's already in the shape that we want, an L bracket, and then we put Loctite. We did like a hole first. We filled the hole with Loctite, then we drilled this in there because the heel for this shoe in particular was hollow. So we put the Loctite in there, and then we drilled it in. We let it sit for 24 hours, and then we painted it because this was all silver. And then on this side, we did the exact same thing. However, the L bracket did not work for this, obviously, so we had to like shape it. Our next, we did so many things to make these shoes work, and honestly, if this had broke, we were thinking of getting a thing. I'll like put it over here somewhere if I can remember what it is. But one of those things that rivets it all the way through the foot rather than just stick it in halfway or however much. We're going to get a whole rod all the way through. But this worked out perfect, and I don't think it broke at all. I think after that had happened, once we put the L bracket in, after like 2 or 3 shows of it doing this, this was perfect. And then with the tap shoes, we only did 1 tap shoe for him, which worked out perfect. You can do 2 tap shoes if you have an experienced tapper. In the Broadway, they did, the gentleman who played Squidward in the Broadway, he had 2 tap shoes and actually like made sound and actually tapped with both feet. It was really amazing. But this is exactly the same. We've got the laces there. We didn't have any white taps, so we had to paint it. Something I wish I would have done better was maybe get leather paint rather than just basic acrylic paint. This was just acrylic paint, and then we this was like 4 or 5 layers of acrylic with like 2 or 3 layers of a clear shiny outside to kind of make it look like it was the same. You can kind of see it's kind of the same shininess. And then I did like a false bottom, which I didn't really care that much because he's going to be moving the whole time on stage, so you wouldn't have noticed anyway. So yeah, very challenging, but I'm grateful we got it to the point now where it works and we don't have to change it. And now it's going to go on to the next theater and be sent away so that the next Squidward can shine on stage and not have all the mistakes that we had. So it's perfect. And hopefully this tutorial and this guide will help you as well, that you'll take the mistakes that we made and figure out what works best for you and your Squidward and your team to make it work for your stage and your magic. So let's look on the inside of the leg now. So this is the joint between the butt and the leg, the top of the thigh. This is the back side. I put 2 pieces of boning here, and then I reinforced it here with just some fleece or whatever like kind of tough material you have that won't like stretch super bad. I glued down the boning, and then I glued down this over top. I used a lot of hot glue to help that stay. One thing I wish I would have done better on this is make these like maybe slightly overlap, because it was just too much space when it was standing like this. It was just way too much space in between the butt and the thigh, and it made it kind of look a little more floppy than I wanted, but it didn't break at all, and it worked wonderfully. I think if I also had brought it up a little bit, it would have fixed the bend in his knee. I loved the way the knees looked, but I wish they weren't as bendy, but they still looked great. I'm very happy with this. And I also did this exact thing with the knees. So this is bending towards you, and then the knees are bending away from you, just like you would like normally. It's like a normal joint. So there's that. And then down here on the foot, so it's cankly, just you can't see it once the pants are on. I made sure that this is completely accessible, because we've had it a few times where the foot would dislodge from the ankle, and I did not want to restrict myself from being able to get in there. Also, the poor sock has gone through a few things, but it works out. So this is what the actual leg looks like. So in here, not the actual leg, but the ankle, so there's a piece of wood that is about the length of his foot, if not a little shorter, and then we traced the bottom of the shoe and did that up here, so it's nice and padded. And then I put a little bit of foam on the bottom because there's a rivet right there. I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't because I glued everything down, but there's a rivet right there. You can kind of see the bump that I hot glued down so it wouldn't become undone. And then I put these straps of elastic on it to keep it from, if for some reason the ankle came undone during a tap number or whatever, it wasn't like woo, like flopping all over the place. There was at least something to keep it in place. And then around the cankle, we've got this little PVC pipe. I took 2-inch foam and I measured it out for here, and then I cut out a little X, not necessarily a hole, just like an X. I roughed down the PVC pipe, and then I glued it in however far I needed it. And then down here we've got like a little socket, and inside of the socket there's a bolt, like a screw that screws down and then meets here at this washer that keeps that in place. So there's that. And then I glued this to this once I figured out that it was exactly what I wanted, the distance between the foot and the ankle. I think if I were to do this differently, I would have, I used hot glue for this portion. I wish I had used something else like silicone or something, I don't even know, or made this one giant mass so that if the ankle came undone, it wasn't like completely floppy. Maybe like making like a sleeve of foam to come down like this rather than just stopping here. I think that would also help with the cankliness of it, but like I said, you can't even tell on stage with the pants on. So yeah, yeah, some legs. Lots to improve on. I would do a couple things differently, but I'm actually very, very happy with how these turned out. Another thing I would change is once again with the legs being too bendy when he was just standing there, I would have probably shortened up this part, the knee, and made it a little shorter, or taken this up a little higher or something to make it so that, because I love the length of the legs, but not necessarily like the distance between the calf and the thigh and the knee and so on. But yeah, overall, super great. A great project. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I'll post some videos in this little compilation of what Squidward looked like on stage, and you can, I'd love to hear about how you did it, how, I would also love to see pictures of your Squidward on stage if you want to post that in the comments below. And yeah, happy crafting. Good luck, everybody.
Out of my way, SpongeBob! I've got a concert to organize!